Yeah, so I mean, just I wanted to kind of show this just to kind of see what we're starting with, and we starting at the slab. So can you guys just talk about a little bit about what's there now?
Well, you're calling this a slab. This is actually dirt. This is
Or
Georgia
right,
red
I'm sorry.
clay. There are some slabs in there. There's some dirt. There's some
And
plastic. There's some
how many floor
floors.
systems were there, Matt?
Oh, we invited Hubert to come over, and he wore himself out. I mean, there's I think at one
Mar-
point we counted 6 different levels.
Yeah.
And when you go on the self-guided tour, you can actually go around. There's like a little crawl space, and there's a landing, stairs going down to another space. There's like a little ledge. You can go to the next room, and then there's like a drop down before you get to the back door. So if
Donkey Kong's coming over next week. He's
well,
gonna
Donkey
have some
Kong,
fun.
but this is let's be practical. This is next to downtown Atlanta. If you're entertaining guests, that happens to be spirits there, then this is not really a good house where you want to invite any lawyers because there's definitely gonna be a lawsuit. Might trip her up and down a set of stairs or two.
Yeah. So they had the site slopes super like what 15 feet from the main floor down to the back,
Yep.
maybe more, like 20 feet. And so it's and what they did, which is what they teach they teach us architects to do this, but they like work with the landscape. And so they actually did on the interior of the home. They just had it. They had like four different levels, I think, or maybe five, and they just followed the slope of the site on the interior. And so they would have different levels. And we're gonna just say to heck with good ideas like following the landscape. We're gonna make it flat. But we
Okay.
found a bunch. It's all just dirt. It's all just dirt down there.
Yeah, and it was still
Yeah.
wet when I was there.
Yep.
Yes, which is showing that we have failures in the building in the foundation because it and when you were there it was the day after or so from rain, and so there was some
Hmm.
penetration of that rain through the foundation, which we're going to repair.
Yeah.
Uh,
And so what's your plan of attack with the slab? You know, I know you guys are also doing a mitigation system.
yeah, essentially we're just going to level it all out. We're going to make it one slab on one level, so we'll just have to build up with gravel and insulation. Matt, go ahead and talk about you tell them about the radon system that we've got.
Yeah, so radon is an inert gas. It's the number 2 leading cause of lung cancer in the US. And if you look at a map of Georgia, the state of Georgia, and radon levels, we basically have the highest concentrations of radon in the Atlanta metro area. And it's because we have a lot of granite below the soil. And so this is one of the gases that comes from granite and from the soil. So when you're building a tight house like this, you need to account for all those soil gases because if you have a tight house, you have any penetrations in the foundation, those can get stuck in the house. And really, we want to deal with this at the level below the slab so we can collect the gases. And with the passive system, we're going to allow the gas to go through piping through the roof, and that way it doesn't get into the indoor conditioned air. Again, the tighter the building envelope, the more of these controls you want in place because you don't want to trap all these pollutants inside the house.
And then what's your building envelope package down there with Comfort Board 80, and how thick are you going with that? And are you using any vapor barrier as well?
Yeah, once the gravel's in, what on top of the gravel, we're going to put a layer of 4 inches of stone wool using Comfort Board 80. And then on top of that will be a 15 mil termite proof and termite and vapor barrier. It's made by it's called Pango Wrap. Stego Industries makes that, but we'll get all our penetrations sealed super tight around through this barrier, and then we'll pour our 4-inch slab, and then all the foundation walls will be basically, so they step the foundation. And so what we're going to do is just take out the old stone foundation that's there and replace it. There you go. Replace it with some new concrete foundation. And that way it'll allow us to get a better seal between the foundation and the above grade walls.
Hmm.
Uh, and then we'll address insulation to the outside of that. So that'll be, our slab insulation is horizontal, and it'll connect to the vertical insulation on the exterior walls.
Okay. And and then, going up the wall, I think the next kind of conversation is the walls. What's currently there? I know it's just wood clapboard siding with no sheathing whatsoever.
That's right. That's right. This is it. This is almost the entire wall assembly that you're looking at here. And so, it's very, it's heavy profile wood siding, as you can see. And you see the lower half of each one of these is, the paint is peeling faster than the upper half, and that's because of capillary action. So as the water comes down the wall, actually, the bottom edge of this siding slopes downward and toward the building, as opposed to sloping upward and away, to allow the water to drip. So what's happening is the lower half of this piece of siding is getting saturated, and that's what's causing that paint peel. And so all of this is going to be removed, and we pulled off a few pieces while you were here, Dan, and we saw this mold that you're seeing on the backside. And that's exactly what, that's from that moisture getting into the wall from capillary action there, and not having a place to, it just sits there for a while, gets trapped because you have insulation on the backside of it. You don't have the right ventilation strategy for a cladding. So anyway, we're going to pull all that off. We're going to pull all the interior finish off. We're going to get it down to studs, get all the insulation out, and then rebuild the wall. Yeah, there we go.
That's all your nastiness that you're working with, Matt.
That's all the fun cotton candy right there.
Yeah. So yeah, there was a mix of insulations currently in the wall. I mean, you could see how it was installed, like that, what I assumed was a mineral wool fiberglass blend in the middle upper picture there. That was actually how it was installed in the wall.
Yep.
You could see the daylight, and it's just like, that's doing more harm than good at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can see on the right there's two pieces of siding with big gaps in them right there. Just that small little opening there, you can see through it, and that's that's pretty typical of houses from this period. So it's not like we found anything unique here, but this is what people were talking about with houses breathing. I mean, this is what they did. This is, they allowed the air to move through, and then somebody decided, let's stay warm, put insulation in. That caused problems. They put a vapor barrier in there. That caused even worse problems. And that's where and that just led us down the path of where we are today about controlling vapor, water, and air and heat. And so we're getting to that point now where we know what a perfect wall is that can work anywhere in the world, and that's what we're going to do on this house and every other house.
Yeah, and again, just moving on up, I think the next one is the roof. And what's your plan for the roof? What's there, and what is the plan?
Well, I guess we didn't really say what we're doing on the walls. We're going to
right.
we're going to resheathe the walls. That's okay. Yeah, and with an OSB that has an integrated water resistive barrier in it. It's called Zip System, and it's just then we'll use liquid flashing to seal all of the seams and penetrations and all the openings, all the door and window openings. And then and then we'll do our rough in, and then we'll seal all that. And then the next step is putting on all of our insulation, which to meet our R31, we're going to use 8 inches of rigid stone wool continuous insulation. In this case, it'll be also ROCKWOOL Comfort Board 80. And so we'll have a full 8 inches. We'll have 1x4 furring strips aligned with each stud, and we'll screw that in at 12 inches, kind of vertically. We'll have a screw every 12 inches. And then we'll clad it with some more thick profile lap siding to match what was existing. We don't want to change that up too much, so we're going to find a heavy profile.
Yeah, keep the look of the house the same as it was intended.
Yeah, correct. And then the roof structure, same kind of thing. It's undersized, where the walls can stay the way they are, but the roof is undersized for, especially if we're going to be adding continuous insulation to it. But there are 2x4s and 2x6s up there, and we need to get that thicker. So we're going to we're going to rip the roof off of this one and just do new framing. We're adding a dormer on the back side of the house, so we need to add some framing anyway, and that's a majority of that's a big chunk of the roof. So we'll remove that and do basically the same thing as the wall. And so this perfect wall assembly, though it's called perfect wall, it's also the roof, it's also a floor assembly, and so it's just all about the control layers.